undemocratic practices refer to actions, systems, or behaviors that go against the principles of democracy. In undemocratic society, people are supposed to have equal rights, equal opportunities, and a voice in decisions that affect their lives. However, when undemocratic practices exist, certain groups may be treated unfairly, excluded from opportunities, or prevented from participating in social and political processes.
One factor connected to these practices is gender biases. So what is gender biases? Gender biases happens when people are treated differently or unfairly because of their gender. So, for example, women may be given fewer opportunities to lead, or men may be expected to follow strict rules that limits their choices. This kind of discrimination individual from achieving their full potential and can create inequality in education, employment, and leadership.
Here an example of gender biases. A qualified woman applied for a leadership position in a company government office, but she is not chosen because decision makers believe that men are more better leaders than women. Fact: women lose equal opportunities, their talents are ignored, and gender inequality continues in society.
Another factor is poverty. People living in poverty often face many barriers that makes it difficult for them to participate fully in society. They may have limited access to education, healthcare, and employment opportunities. In some cases, poverty can also prevent individuals from being heard in political decisions because they may lack resources or influence that wealthier groups have. As a result, their needs and concerns may be rejected.
Here an example of poverty. Poor families cannot afford education, transportation, or proper documents needed for voting or participation in communities activities. Fact: people living in poverty have less voice in political decisions, and their needs such as job, healthcare, or housing may be ignored by leaders.
Political marginalization occurs when certain groups are excluded or pushed aside in a political process. This means they may not have a proper representation in government or may not be able to influence policies that affect their lives. When people are politically marginalized, they may feel powerless and disconnected to their society, which weakens democratic participation.
Example: indigenous community or small majority groups are not represented in government positions, or their problems are clearly discussed and policy making. Their rights and concerns remain unresolved, and they feel included from national decision making.
Racial inequality is another important issue. This happens when people are threatened unfairly or discriminated against because of their race or ethnic backgrounds. Racial inequality can lead to unequal access to education, jobs, housing, and other opportunities. It can also create social divisions and conflict with communities.
So here's an example of racial inequality. A person got rejected from a job or treated unfairly because of their race, skin color, or ethnic backgrounds. The effect: this creates discrimination, limits opportunities, and causes division and conflict among groups in society.
Cultural dominations happen when one culture becomes more powerful and forces its beliefs, traditions, or values on other cultures. This can lead to the loss or weakening of minority cultures and traditions. When cultural dominations occur, the diversity of a society may be reduced, and some groups may feel that their identity and heritage are not respected.
So here are some examples. A dominant culture forces minority group to stop practicing their language, their traditions, or customs in schools or workplace. The effect: the identity and heritage of minority culture might slowly disappear or be disrespected.
The crisis of representation refers to a situation where leadership or political representatives do not truly reflect or represent the interests of the people they serve. This can happen when leadership prioritize their own interests and the interests of the powerful groups instead to listen to the ordinary citizens. When representation fails, people may lose trust in the political system.
So here's an example of crisis of representation. Elected leaders only focuses on the interests of powerful people or wealthy groups instead of serving the needs of the majority. So here's the L effect. Citizens feel that their leader does not truly represent them, which can lead to loss of trust in government.
Lastly, politics of recognition focuses on the need for different groups in the society to be respected and acknowledged. When certain identities, cultures, or communities are ignored or disrespected, it can lead to feelings of exclusion and injustice. Recognizing and valuing diversity is important for building fair and inclusive society.
Example of politics of recognition is certain groups such as indigenous peoples and minority cultures are not recognized and respected in laws, policies, and social programs.
Its other effect is these groups may feel invisible, disrespected, and excluded, leading to inequality and social injustice.
Overall, this learning competencies encourages the students to analyze and explain, therefore, of the different social issues that gives of the worst vibes. As if learners, by understanding the negative effects of undemocratic practices, is that learners should learn to develop such as social awareness, critical thinking, and empathy to all things are guided. For through social expressions or creative expressions perhaps, is our students and learners should give off the way to be beneficial between the respective terms of the importance of critical social awareness and justifications of participations of democratic life. As we begin, yes.